Doing well. I wanted to do a live Q&A session. A lot of people have a lot of questions when they come to my website about this topic, and it's about removing collections off their credit report. And what's the best avenue on how to remove those collections off their credit report? Now, as you come in, just chime in and hit the like button, give it a thumbs up as you come in, and just let me know where you're coming from. So when you have your questions, you can just put it in to the chat and I will address your questions. Now, collections is a big issue for people because one out of every three people have a collection on their credit report. So it can be very problematic to have a collection. Now, when we are going to talk about collections, I want to lay some groundwork on what is a collection, because many people are real new to credit or they're just learning about credit. So you might not totally understand where the collection come from and what's your rights when it comes down to collection. Now, a collection generally is an account that was a open account of yours. And what happens is when a company cannot collect from you, generally in a span of 180 days, they charge off the account, or you might even see on your credit report a write-off. And the reason why they charge it off or write it off, it is for their losses, for their taxes, and they can get a tax credit with that write-off. So their business, and for tax purposes, the IRS, or when you're a business, any loss, you can get a credit because you did not make money, you actually lost money. So what the IRS is saying, they're not going to take that into account of their revenue. Okay, so they will deduct that. So that's why it is a charge off. So it turns into a charge off. So many times, once you have a charge off, it might sit on your credit for a period of time, and then you will notice that it turns into a collection, and it's for the same debt. So you want to look at your credit report and pay attention. Sometimes that charge off will just stay in that state. It might never turn into collections, but many times it will. Okay, and we're going to go into why that happens, because it's very important for you to remove it to know why it happened. Now, when you have a collection company call you, majority of times it's going to be a third party collector. These are companies that buy those types of charge-offs. Now, there are collection companies that does contract with that account holder. So who you had the account with, they might hire out a collection company in their stead. But many times, the majority of the times, you're talking to a third party collector. So when you have a first party collector, they're working as an extension for that company to collect. Now, when it comes to student loan student loan collections, they might have a company like that, a collection company, to call you, okay? But it's still connected to that account holder, okay? Now, any type of a collection with a student loan will not count when I am talking about collections tonight, because with your congressman, they made it, in your government, they made it so you cannot remove a student loan collection, because It's basically student loans are slavery for the government. They made laws in place to secure that loan, and you can't even bankrupt that off. So if you have a student loan collection, that's a totally different category from a credit card collection and a medical collection. Okay, so keep that in mind. Give me thumbs up. I got like 18 people in, so if y'all can do me a favor, it'll help the algorithm to see other people to see I'm live. So when you have collections, one thing you have to know, when that company call you, you gotta be very careful. And I want you to try this next time that company call you. When that company calls you and say, hey, I would like to speak to Sherry Beckley, I might say, who is this? And they might start to try to validate. Well, first, is this Sherry Beckley? I will say, you have to let me know who you are, what's your company name, and what you're calling about. And so they might state a company name, and you know it's a collection company. Soon as they do that, let's say ABC Collections or Portfolio something something, you know that's a collection company. Tell them, I will gladly talk to you, but I need you to call me from a non-recorded line. If this line is being recorded, I can't talk to you. And they usually will tell you that it is a recorded line. They will say, I can no longer speak to you, and hang up. There's a reason why they do that. I got 22 people in the room. Give me a thumbs up. It don't cost you anything. Thumbs up. Hit the like button for me. There's a reason why they do that. And the reason why they do that is because they purchase that debt. And when they purchase these debts that are charged off, many a times there's no paperwork attached to that debt. So for you to purchase anything, right? If you're purchasing a home, there's a deed that comes with that home. And what happens many a times when you're purchasing a home, you're not the first owner of that home. So before you purchase, you do a title search, because debts or even homes change hands plenty of times, many of times. So you might not own that home if the chain of title was broken or improperly transferred. It's the same thing with any debt. If you are purchasing a debt, there should have been a contract or some kind of legal standing for them to acquire that debt. Remember, nobody can just come to your door, me, myself personally, and let's say hold up your light bill and say, hey, John Doe, here's your light bill. You owe me. You're going to call the cops on me because I will be out of my mind. You'll say that light bill goes to PSE&G or whatever, a utility provider. And that bill has their name on them. I don't know you. I never did business with you. So how do I owe you anything? Because a bill is owed or because a debt is owed, remember, it just don't give any Tom, Dick, and Harry a legal right to collect that debt. They have to, number one, show they have a legal right of entitlement to collect on that debt. And the only way they can do that is off of the contract between yourself and the original holder of that debt. And many a times the original owner of that debt detached themselves from that debt because, and the reason why they sold it, they took a tax write-off. And so you cannot double dip. So let's say I'm a landlord, and even with me, if I have someone, I took them to court, I sat there went to court, got, somebody owed me back rent, and I wrote that debt off on my taxes for $2,000 worth of rent. How can I now go and collect that $2,000 from you? Because what happens is the IRS gave me a credit of $2,000 that I don't owe them that money. And if now I collect for you and you pay me, I actually made $4,000. So I can be in some serious problems with the IRS if I pursue that. So the way they do this, and this is why a lot of you guys with eviction collections, that's why they do that, because they wrote that off. And so what they'll do to recoup on the money, they'll take a bunch of those debts, package it up in a portfolio, and then they sell it to a collection company at a very low discounted rate. So the same example of that $2,000, I might say to portfolio so-and-so, hey, I got a whole building and I have an apartment complex. So I'll sell you all my debts, and say those debts all equal to what I'm owed over $100,000. But you guys, all you have to do is give me $5,000 and I'll walk and you can collect on it. And that's how they purchase. They'll sell it in a big portfolio. And this is why a lot of these companies' names will have portfolio so-and-so, portfolio that, because they're buying debt in large portfolios. Now, the problem from them, being that they're buying these debts in large chunks, and also these debts are various ages, they don't have the paperwork many of times on this debt. They don't have the contract. And these can be various types of debts that they're buying. So they want to get you on the phone and they want you to begin to talk to them, and they record on a line to start to bait you to make a deal with them, because they know they don't really have legal right to collect on that debt. And so it's just like this. I just can't say that you owe me money and you never got any goods, a service, a Uber ride, or shirt from me. You might have bought a shirt from Macy's and maybe old Macy's, and you got a Macy's bill, but that doesn't give me a legal right to collect on that debt. And then many cases, to take it further, because there's a contract, did I agree that that debt could be sold to you? Yeah, I owe Macy's and I'll pay Macy's, but I don't have to pay you. I don't know you. You never did anything for me. I never did business with you. And on top of that, this is fraud. Okay, you're trying to strong arm me and defraud me out of funds because I don't even know you. I never did business with you, and you're reporting this on my credit report, and you're lying on me. So always remember that. And so because of these debts, and this is a fact, you have certain rights on the federal standard of law called the Fair Debt Collections Act. Okay, a lot of you guys hear of the FCRA. That's the Fair Credit Reporting Act. That's how things can be reported. But there is the Fair Debt Collections Act that govern collections. And what it is, they have to prove that they have a valid right to collect on that debt. And so you have a right under the federal law to send them a debt validation letter. And that is to make them prove they have a valid right to collect that debt. So a lot of people are bewildered when I say you send them a debt validation letter. But I just gave you a quick lesson on why that is, because it's already known. But what happens is a lot of you, when it comes to credit, and when it comes on my credit channel, I can't go into a lot of this because don't have a long attention span nowadays. And many people, because they lack knowledge, as the Bible says, because of my lack of knowledge, they're being destroyed. They're sitting there, they're talking to these companies, and they are making a verbal contract because they're talking on the phone. And this is very common to you. What is marriage? A verbal contract. Okay, you sit there and say I do, for better or for worse, and it takes a whole legal process to get up out of that, because what you're doing is binding a verbal contract. Always remember, in law, it is called the law of contracts. In order for you to owe someone, a contract has to be bound in some way, shape, and form. And there are certain rules for that contract to be legal. Okay, so think about that. So for that contract to be legal, many states you have to be at a certain age, over the age of 18. If you do business with a minor, it's at your own risk, because you can't bind a contract with someone underage or someone who have mental hindrance to comprehend what they're getting into, someone who has dementia or mental disabilities. That is an invalid contract. So when you are dealing with collections, okay, when you're dealing with collections, you want to, number one, look at your credit report and figure out what type of collection it is. Remember this: medical collections. Be very careful, because the new law, or there's a new standard coming forward. The Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion come July 1st with medical debts that are paid will no longer report them if they're under $500. So be careful. If you're getting phone calls, just be careful. Be mindful of that. Medical collections under $500, starting the beginning of 2023, they're going to remove those. And then it will be a whole year before they can even put that on your credit report. So make sure you guys know that. What happens with medical collections and any kind of collections, always remember the credit bureaus are in bed with these collection companies. The collection companies, the banks, the landlords, anybody that purchased your credit profile and credit report are their customer. You are their product. So even with that, them doing that, come July 1st, keep in mind the game, because I always just let you peep on game. What they're doing, they say if you pay it and it's under $500, they will no longer report it. So what that is doing is still working with the collection companies, because you have to pay it for it not to report. Okay, so when you pay it, okay, then it won't report. So that's still getting them paid. And what they are now going to do is give you more of an incentive so they can make more money. Okay, so they're all in bed together. But when it comes to medical collections, you want to still send your debt validation letter. And here is why. Many of these collections, like I told you, they don't validate it So who say they have a legal right to collect on a debt? When it comes to medical collections, many a times your insurance company could have paid for that. But what they will do, and there are laws, they're very predatory. They know that whole principle that we went through to get to this space that most people don't know about the law and what their rights is under the Fair Debt Practices Act to validate. So these companies will do what's called phantom debt. They will just take your name, your information, and just slap it on your credit report or send you a letter in the mail and get you to pay that. Or even if you talk to them over the phone and say the wrong thing. What, that medical bill? I thought my insurance company paid it. But okay, I could pay you. Boom, they got you. And now because you set up there and you made a deal with them, now they got a legal right to collect on the debt because you agreed to do business with them. And now they can't even sue you if you don't pay them. So if you have done that, you might have to continue to pay a collection company. If you have said something on that phone and you said, well, I can pay, they got you. Okay. So moving forward, don't you get on that phone talking to them folks. I just educated a lot of people, and I don't know how much I can do little videos on that because what I'm giving you is absolute knowledge, and you will have to learn this and know this. So don't get on that phone talking to them because this is how they bait and snare people. And so you might not even owe that debt. That debt, there's many times, I'm quite sure a lot of y'all have that experience. You'll call the insurance company and they'll tell you, you don't owe anything. We paid them. That company was paid. They just got your name, got your social security number, and is trying to bait you to bind a contract for something you don't even owe. So this is why debt validation at all times is very important. If you, I have debt validation letters in my package at my website if you need one. If not, you can do your own. But they have to show you a legal right to collect on the debt. Also, talking on the phone, you don't want to give them your address and all that because they have to give you time to validate that debt of 30 days from when you receive when you receive notice that they're trying to get you to validate that debt. That's why when you get those collection letters, it'll say you have 30 days to validate this debt. If you demand the validation in 30 days, send that letter always certified mail. If they cannot prove or validate that debt, they have to remove that and they cannot put that on your collection report. So please, and somebody said I can testify to this. I got one removed just by following your videos. Thank you so much, Nova. And so you just got to make sure, but you got to have this knowledge. Don't sit up there because many a times they don't know what your address is. They're trying to hit you with that communication. So you're telling them your name, your is this your social and this and that. They're trying to get that out to you so that boom, slam it on your credit report, and this their way of credit terrorism because they know a lot of people don't know this. And prior to this change, even with larger debts, even if you pay them with collections, they're not going to remove it. Actually, what happens is they update that as a paid collection and it drops your score because it updates as a new updated negative item. The longer an account like a collection or charge off sit, if it's not dinging you every month, your scores start to go up. And remember that 7-year period starts when When that debt is reported. Now, be careful of this. We have all seen this. Say you already had a charge off with this company, and then here comes the collection. That charge off might have sat there for, let's say, 4 years. That's a sneaky tactic of theirs. What they'll do is now put like a new collection, let's say May 22nd, let's say May 1st, 22nd, 2022, or something, May 2022. And you're like, wow, this collection, that was charged off 3 years ago. And now they're trying to start the 7 years over again, trying to get started. You got to watch that, because that's not legal. Okay, they're not supposed to do that. That 7 years started when that charge off was the last date that you made a payment. Okay, so watch them. Another thing, look at your credit report. Collections is not supposed to have attached late payment history with a collection. Okay, that's why it's a collection. Okay, it should not have late payment history attached. That's a violation of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Also, check that charge off in that collection. If you look at that charge off and it's connected to that collection, and many a times if you have a charge off, you'll see a balance. You need to read your charge offs. If it has a balance of $10,000, then you read down there in the description. A lot of times it might say transferred or sold. And if you see a collection for that $10,000, that's double dipping. Because when you have a charge off that turned into a collection, that balance got to be zero. And it needs to say sold or transferred. Okay? Because if they got $10,000 here for the charge off, $10,000 on the collection, now it look like you owe $20,000 when you don't. It's $10,000. And if you've been following me, you already know about debt to available credit is 30%. Okay? 30% of what make up your credit score. So what does that mean? If they have two debts for $10,000, now that's $20,000, and it could be jacking up your credit score because you might only have an open credit card, let's say of $15,000. Now that's more debt because they're reporting 10 and 10. That's more debt than your $15,000 credit line. Okay, and so now that will affect your utilization. Thank you for purchasing the packaging. So be careful. Know these foundational rules. So your strategy about removing them, one strategy is what I just told you. Look at your charge off to that collection, right? If you see a balance on that charge off and that balance on that collection, you can write. Well, what I would do first, matter of fact, what you would do, you will dispute. Well, you know what I would do in that case, what you want to do, you would want to dispute the collection. Okay, dispute the collection. And what you'll say on that, not collection, dispute that charge off first to get that off. And let them know it's a balance on a collection and a charge off. This is a violation of the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and that should be removed. Okay, to get that charge off. Okay, because you don't want that sitting there as zero as a unpaid charge off or a sold charge off. Go ahead and dispute that. With the collection, what you're going to do is send out the debt validation letter, okay, to them to make them prove to validate that debt. Now, for that not to show up on your credit report with debt validation, you need to do it in that 30-day window. But if you didn't do it in that 30-day window, you still have a right to validate that debt. And what you're going to do is send them a debt validation letter. Wait 30 days. See if you get a response. Many of them won't respond, okay? They won't respond. You want to send it certified so it can be in default. And if they don't respond, then you want to check your credit report. If that account after 30 days is not saying in dispute by customer, with you sending them with that debt validation letter, if they don't put that, that's a violation of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So after 30 days, if they don't put that in dispute that off your credit report and tell them, look, I sent them a debt validation letter. Whether they respond or not, they did not update this as this account being in dispute. This need to be removed off my credit report. And the reason why that's important, because say if you were going for a home loan or something, boom, how can I do that? When I say dispute, if people don't know, a dispute is your right to send a letter to the 3 major credit bureaus. Okay, so that's what a dispute is. So when you write a dispute, you're sending it to the 3 major credit bureaus. Okay, let me just make sure I make that clear, because sometimes we all on different levels of learning. But a dispute, when you dispute an account, or if you hear the word dispute, that's always dealing with the 3 major credit bureaus. You're disputing that item. A debt validation, you're sending a letter to that collection company to validate the debt, to show them that they have a valid right to collect on that debt. So a debt validation letter is only for collection companies. You cannot send a debt validation letter. You wouldn't send that to a company that has a charge off and you know you did business with them. You would want to dispute with the credit bureaus. Okay, that's how you will handle that. Collections, you will send a debt validation letter and you have the right to dispute. But charge-offs, you would just dispute. Okay, you wouldn't send a debt validation letter to a charge-off that you know you did business with. You don't want to do that, because they have a legal right to collect, and we'll talk about different variations. Now, when it comes to medical collections, what is really tricky with a collection company, medical collections fall under a different category because you have HIPAA. When it comes down to HIPAA, your personal private information data, personal private health information need to be protected in a certain way. That company, even your care providers, are under HIPAA. They should not just be giving out your information, anything about your health information, to anybody. So with them, with a medical collection, you still follow what I told you earlier, but one step further is, especially in my package with medical collections, if they send you back a bill and it says, let's say, I don't care if it says dental. I don't care if it says, OBGYN bill. With that, now I have a letter to explain this is a violation against the HIPAA Act. Who gave that care provider or you to have my personal information? That is a violation, okay? And some of those penalties can go up to $2 million, all right, for violating the HIPAA law. So keep that in mind. Many of them just having any kind of bill when it comes to medical with your personal private information, that is a very slippery slope. So you can send that response letter. And a lot of them try to get slick and they know that they don't want to respond. Okay, they might just remove it. Okay, a lot of them don't want to respond, or if you send that second letter, they'll jump off. Okay, because they know that you're in the know that that's a violation. Okay, so I find medical collections can be easier to remove because of that fact. All right, they'll jump off sometimes quicker when you hit them with that. Now, that healthcare provider, if they didn't get your signature to sell that information, they can have some problems too. Okay, so they're not just supposed to give out your private personal health information. So anything connected to that social security number supposed to be protected, name, dates of birth, all of that, if it's due with a medical file, is your personal private health information. Okay, so that is one thing if you're dealing with a medical collection. When you're dealing with collection with credit cards, one thing you have to remember, when all of us primarily go, even if you're in a store, you fill out an application for a credit card, if you're doing it online, that's the application. Okay, that's not the card itself. We all have filled out applications at Lowe's or wherever you might go, and they might have different interest rates depending on your credit score. That offer or promotion, you may not even qualify for that type of financing or that type of card. Okay, so it's just an application. It don't mean you're going to get those terms and conditions. So when they send you that credit card in the mail, you're supposed to send it and put it back. And send that back. But what happens when you don't send that back and you just use the card? Did you, in writing, agree to those terms and conditions? And being that you ain't signed that, you didn't agree that that debt can be sold. I never agreed to that. So even if they purchase that kind of credit card debt, I never agreed for Lowe's or, whoever to sell that debt. If I owe somebody, I owe them, but I don't owe you. There was no way that you can sell that. I never agreed for the debt to be sold. So you have to give your permission for that debt to be sold at the beginning binding of that contract, or somewhere in there. If they send you some new paperwork, where did I agree for that debt to be sold? And so you might have some credit cards. So, when you use the terms of service on that card, it came in the writing in the what writing? Oh, it says this the brochure. Oh, I ain't get that. Did you send that certified mail? I didn't get that. I don't know nothing about that. Oh, well, you owe this much and the interest and this and that. That ain't what mine said. Any proof? They don't send that to you certified mail. I don't know. So all of this is off. The balances, all of that. All of this is off. Actually, I paid online. I paid that on time. That ain't right. And especially if it's long, if it's an old debt, that's a lie. I owe them $1,000. That's a lie. How is that? How is that possible? They can't prove that. How can they? As that TikTok. How would they know? They'll know. How would they know? How can you prove that? That wouldn't even hold water in court. Where does that say that? So if you purchased a debt, and a lot of them will send you some little paper that they purchased it, there's nothing to purchase. I need the contract, boo. Where's the contract? Where's the contract? Can you send me where I signed and agreed to that? So you want that contract, and they don't have it. So we're going to put a pause there. They don't have that contract. They're saying you owe them money. It's on your credit report. I'm going to have to deal with you, because let me tell you how you lying on me. I don't even know you. I ain't never, but nah, this is Lowe's, and they'll do that. Didn't you have a Verizon bill? You know I know Verizon, but I don't know you. Okay? I know her, but I don't know you. So don't be fooled. This is part of their tactic. This is part of their Jedi mind tricks. Okay? That's their Jedi mind trick. Okay? And let them know them Jedi mind tricks don't work on me. Okay? Don't work. So this is the bait and switch that they try to do. And so you have to know this, because a lot of people conscious eat them. And they'll say, but I owe that debt. Baby, they done charged that off. You don't owe them nothing. The IRS, actually, all of this is in place because banks are not set up to lose. So you can have a credit card, and I ain't telling you don't skip out on your bills, but I'm trying to get you all the way together so you know the truth about a situation. They already charged it off on their taxes. You a taxpayer, where this is where businesses ain't paying their fair share. Taxes coming out of your paycheck before you even get it. You done paid taxes. You ain't even see it. Not them. They get all their money up front. They a business. They tell the IRS what they owe them at the end. Okay? Once they did whatever they want to do with their money. And then they use your name or your account like you ain't paid them. So if you had that account for a certain amount of time, let's say you charged $1,000 that they say they owe, but you made payments on it, they tacking on interest. You've been paying on it. And making, then they turn around and like, you done paid, let's say altogether $500, but then they saying interest. Then they still saying that you owe them money. You owe them $1,000, and then they charge it off. So they done made more money, and then they turn around and sell that to make extra money. Extra money. So don't let these folks sit up there and fool you. And they sell these debts with penny on the dollar. That same $1,000 debt, they might have purchased that debt for $25, and they pursuing you for $1,000. That is how it's going down. Okay, so you need to know that. So number one, your guilt, your misguided guilt, and this and that. Nobody's saying don't pay your debts or with the original credit. The only thing, because it saves you just time. You just want to get in the habit paying your bills. But if anything have came your way, don't think you need to cry for them, because it's a whole racket. Okay, it's a whole racket. Let's talk about your landlord or with your collections from evictions or an apartment. When it comes to apartments, and Lord, I should know, I'm a landlord. When it comes to housing, each state has its own law. Outside of civil law, there's Landlord Tenant Law. This is a different court when it comes to housing. And it is different rules from state by state. Okay, so let's say they're saying, okay, you moved out, but you owe for damages. Many states have a certain amount of time they have to notify you of those damages, and they have to tell you how they apply your security deposit for that, and you have to send you a notice depending on that time frame. So that's number one. There's laws that landlord has to follow. Even more, once they charge that off, if that's sold to a collection company, where is your lease? Where is your lease? Now, a lot of them going to get slick if you send them a debt validation letter. And now I have, when it comes to evictions, I am a landlord. I got a particular letter for them eviction letters. What you have to get from them, where's the contract? The contract is your lease. In your lease, does it say they had a right to sell any balances that you owe that landlord to a third party? Did it say that? You need the lease. A lot of times what they'll send you back is the signature part of that. They'll send you the signature part. If they send you the signature part, where's the full lease? You need all those parts in between there, because that's the whole contract. Furthermore, what y'all do with my security deposit? How was that applied? How was that applied? Then where's the rules of the state? Many states, for you to be a landlord, you have to be registered as a landlord, or that property might have to be registered. There's different little intricacies. So you got a collection company that ain't even a landlord, that can't even collect. Some states, if you collect rent, like New Jersey, you collect rent. If you're not the owner, many a times you have to have a real estate license, because there's rules governing state and state laws. So you need to ask them, well, okay, where's my security? How was that applied? Landlord tenant rules. And I need my full contract. If not, they're definitely playing with fire, because many of those companies that's collecting might be located, let's say in Georgia. I'm from Jersey. I'm renting from Jersey. Do they even have a right to operate that way? Are you even registered in my state? Are you compliant to rules? Then you can get them with landlord tenant laws. Some of it, even my deposit, sometimes and it varies state to state, deposits must go into a bank account in a certain amount of time. And if these rules are not followed, you can sue them for double. So y'all want that kind of work? Y'all want that kind of work? You my landlord? But I'm telling you this because a lot of y'all don't know that. And what you're doing is being destroyed because of the lack of knowledge. As Amos said, you're being destroyed because of the lack of knowledge. And so you're being terrorized. So you always want to validate these debts. This is why, because it's a simple law of contract. So when you're looking at your collections, you know this. How did this collection come about? If it's medical, HIPAA laws is attached. If it's consumer, how was the contract with me and the original creditor compiled? How did we come to this? If it's a landlord, there's a lease. If it's a credit card, there was supposed to be a contract, but nobody signed that. So there ain't nothing that you can say you could collect on. And then you might have a cell phone. There's a contract with that you sign. But where's the paperwork where it said that they sold and what I owe? So you always want to start with the contract, because if they cannot produce that contract, then you're going to have some real, they can have some real problems if you do this right. Now, what I'm going to say, depending on the debt or depending on the collection, you want to approach this in a wise way. If there's an attorney collecting on that, and that attorney is in your state or in another state, be easy. A state next to your state, be easy. Make sure you're not talking on that phone to any collection company. Be careful. Don't volunteer to make payments. They can get you and sue you. If you start to pay them, now that debt might be out of your local state statute of limitations. Maybe your state only have a 2-year statute of limitation or a 4-year statute of limitation, and that might be a 5-year-old collection. You start paying them, now you reactivating in some states that statute of limitation. Okay, and now they can come and sue you. So you want to be careful. If it is an attorney in your state or the next state over, watch out, because attorneys are also debt collecting agencies. Some of them found it's way more lucrative to pursue collections or pursue debts. And so they become a debt buyer, because trying to chase ambulances or fight, legal matters could be time consuming. And this is much easier, because what they'll do is leverage your state laws and your court laws against you. And if you don't know what your court laws and your state laws is, they might end up sending a lawsuit. You might not even know if you received it, and you looked up and your check is garnished. If your check more time than one is being garnished, somewhere a lawsuit have been placed on you, and maybe you didn't answer. And you should always answer if you get it. Don't sit there with a complaint. You didn't answer, or there's some of them are real dirty. They'll send it to another address on purpose. And so when it comes down to that, if it's an attorney contacting you from your state or the state over, you might see it with ABC Collection Company for a minute, a while. And then all of a sudden, years later, you see it's a collection company. An attorney working for Capital One or da-da-da-da-da. Most likely they bought that. Okay. He really owned that debt. But they'll hide underneath some of this. Okay. They'll act like they're representing some of these. Okay. There are some of these companies. That's just what it is. And they'll never let you know, because at that point they don't want you to validate the debt. But if it's law officer so-and-so and we're attempting to collect the debt, and they're a debt collector and they said we're a debt collector, you can send them a debt validation letter. But what I suggest is getting a legal program in those cases. I always talk about my friend Manny. He does Legal Shield and stuff like that. You can do one of those programs, and how you can catch them with a 1-2, call your attorney with them. Pennies on the dollars. It might be only like $32, $35 a month. And what you'll do is call them up and say, hey, I got this letter. You can fax it over, send it over. Can you write them back? Sometime that'll pause them all the way up. That'll pause for the cost. Because see, now it look like you got an attorney, like you lawyered up. Okay. That's how you can do that. Okay. But you want to be careful, because if it's an attorney company in your state or one in the next states over, because many attorneys might have their license in multiple states. Like I'm from Jersey, many attorneys, since it's right there close to New York, might have their license, also got their license in New York or even Pennsylvania. So if they're on the southern side of Jersey where Philly is, and one New York City, so they'll go back and forth. So you watch that, because a lawsuit can be coming. Now, if that collection company process a lawsuit. Okay, yes, Tom, I'm going to get to y'all questions. I just want to do this, and then y'all can, I just want to get to these points, and then y'all can ask. I promise you, because most likely either your question will be answered or you'll tailor it to, you might catch something that I'm already saying. If you have a lawsuit that is served against you with a collection company, do not validate that. You are too late. Do not let that sit. Talk to an attorney, because at that point, that collection company is actively trying to collect against you, and now it's beyond credit. You don't want to get a judgment, because they can take property. They can not even put a lien on property. It depends on your state. And in my state of New Jersey, a judgment can sit for 20 years. and then they can renew it, and then it sits for another 20 years, so 40 years. So if you have that collection company pursuing you, then that is a legal issue, and there's ways that you can get out of that. But I'll answer y'all questions, but hopefully that could address some questions from the start. Give me 1 second. View all this business. Okay, I'm going to start from the top. Thank you, all of y'all coming in. And you can hit me with your questions. Thank you, Brandon, for joining me. Miss Williams, thank you. Miss Cox, thank you. Hope all of y'all are well. Miss Tanya, thank you for joining me. Tony, thank you for joining me. Lamont, thank you for joining me. Teresa, thank you. Rue said, can you get an inquiry from a home mortgage removed if you no, you can't, because you got an account connected to that, so you can't remove those kind of inquiries. Any inquiry attached to an open line, no, you can't remove those. Mr. Campbell said, how can I get those collections from portfolio recovery removed so they can't call? What you do is send them a debt validation letter is the first step. So you make them validate the debt, wait for a response, and see if they can validate that debt. If they send you a bill, if you get one of my package, I have a response letter. If they send you a bill itself, as I explained, does not give them a legal right to collect on the debt. So you will send that response letter. And also make sure once you send that debt validation letter, if it's 30 days over, check your credit report. If they did not update that account and be in dispute that account directly with the credit bureaus, because they must notate that. So you just simply say, I sent for them to validate the debt. They did not update this in notations that I asked for a debt validation, and they did not notate this, that this account is being in dispute. So since they did not do that, that's a violation of the FCRA, and this should be removed off my credit report immediately, point blank. Okay, so that's going to be your steps. What if the account is past the statute of limitations? How can I remove it? Send the debt validation letter and follow the steps that I just gave. Okay, so that's what you're going to do. Send that debt validation letter and follow the steps I just gave. So hopefully that's helpful. And good evening, Rita. You said I only have 5 collections that I need to disappear under 1,000, except for one is only 1,400. Now, Rita, I like to use your example. Can you give me some details on what type of collections are those 5 collections? Because she has collections that's 1,000 and one is only 1,400. Now, depending on the type of collection that is, if it's medical, if it is credit card related, nothing with a strong contract, you always first want to send. Now, let me make this clear. I am not an attorney, and this does not constitute legal advice. Debt validation letter, the initial one, wait for the response. If they don't respond, a default letter. Always look at your credit report to see, as I explained, if it was noted, if it as being in dispute. If it's not, after 30 days, you send that letter that I just mentioned to dispute that this should be removed because they did not notate that this account was in dispute, and have that to be deleted from that side. If they still don't remove it, what it is, especially if it's under $1,500 and below, now they are defaming your character. That's what I have done. This is not legal advice, and this does not, I'm not an attorney, and this does not constitute as legal advice. I'll tell you what I did and what I do. Okay? At this point, I already notified you to validate the debt. I got that, all of that sent certified. If they respond back with a bill does not constitute your legal right to collect on a debt. You don't know these people. Now, you print out your credit report. What I did, or what I do. Now you're lying on me. I'm going to my courthouse, okay? Small claims court, because you can leverage this very well with very small debts. And what I'm going to do is go to the Better Business Bureau, president, vice president, some treasurers, go to LinkedIn, get some employees name up over there, because everybody love on LinkedIn to tell where they work, a little customer service person, and boom, I'm putting me a defamation of character lawsuit. Defamation is on the books just about everywhere. Now, a lot of people tell you sue, on the federal level, you know, the FCRA, when you and some people tell you, you can sue Experian and you can sue them $1 billion companies. They $1 billion companies, boo. Don't be fooled. And if you ever heard on the federal level, ever heard the term, don't make a federal case out of it? Yeah, that's why. So what you can simply do, at what I did, no, I'm getting at you. Because number one, you're lying on me. My credit is directly attached to my character. And number one, I don't care if I owed so-and-so $500 and you put down I owe y'all $600, that's a lie. Okay? That's number one. That's a lie. And I don't know you. I never got any goods and service from you. So I am suing you. I'm suing your president, your vice president, your customer service rep, throwing the name up on there, customer service rep, and I'm suing your company. And what is that going to do? It's going to give you leverage. That's what it's called. So you're not going to hide behind that company. No. Once I get this judgment, I'm putting it on your credit report personally. And then what I'll kindly do, wait till the court send them that, because COVID is just about gone. A lot of y'all got to show up to my state in court. I don't have to file it there. If you're doing business in my state, then you have to be incorporated and you got to come over here if you're doing business in my state. And what I'm going to do is hold you personally accountable. Okay? And guess what? When it's mailed at that office, that is notice to them folks, everybody that worked there, president, vice president, all of y'all are making the business decisions for this corporation, so you're being held personally accountable. Once they get served, I call them, let me speak to your legal department. I got a lawsuit. They got a legal department, trust me. Or somebody to handle this, because they get sued often. And I'm Sherry Beckley, and I'm suing y'all. Y'all want to remove this, or y'all want to negotiate on this? Because you know what? They know they bought that for pennies on the dollar, and it ain't even worth them chasing that. So here's my terms and conditions. I paid legal fees. That's number one. So I need some money. So if this debt was $500 that y'all saying, I need me about $8. Okay? I need me about $8. Or if you just want to go on, I could settle for about $300, because I got some fees that I had to pay out, and I in my state probably like no more than $125. I'll put some extra in my pocket, get paid, and I need y'all to remove this within 30 days. That's it. Take it off my credit report in 30 days, and we can drop this suit. Many of them will send you that paperwork over, and they're going to get that thing popping. And they will send you your check. and they want you to release that, because guess what? It ain't worth them. Number one, you got real people and real names. And imagine if you went to work and some lawsuit out the blue, and you're like, I just work here. You're just going to go up there and you're going to cause a stink. Because, see, I just work here. It ain't even that deep. I hate this job. So it's going to put extra pressure when you hit lower level people. They going to go up in there. Then the president, vice president, y'all going to get this judgment yourself. It's going to be on your record, your public record, and you going to be hit. So many of them just remove it. Then once they send you the release, you don't owe it, because they send you that, they're going to overnight it to you. I have done this many a times. They'll overnight to you because it's in their best interest to do that. Sometimes they'll have an attorney. Don't let them mind you neither. And they'll talk whatever. How much is your attorney fees, sir? How much is your fees? This is why you don't want to get greedy. You want to keep it kind of low. How much they got to pay you to show up in court? I know it's more than $500, $800. And you know what he gonna say? You right. Do you want to make this deal? You want to make that phone call? You want to talk to them some folks? I don't care if he talking snippy. He gonna know. I'm gonna come back at you. Okay? Because I got my proof that you lied on me. And a lot of them are fold like a card house. Okay? I had some of the best of them. I can't even say say their name like that. Folded like a card house. I bet you, if you got a collection, one of them companies, I guarantee you, is the company I dealt with. But when you sign that contract, you can't go around saying, so you got to be careful. But I'm going to let you know, probably one of them companies y'all got. And the man got up on the phone, the vice president. Oh, you'll be surprised. It starts with an L. It starts with an L in some alphabets. Oh, why? I called here and y'all wouldn't jump up off of me. But why are you suing me? Oh, you sleep very well sitting up there tearing up somebody else's life. But now I'm suing you. So you're going to take it off. And I mean, the president called me. The president. And well, we bought this. Did you? Where's your chain of title? Because you bought something, where's your receipts? We know that you sit up there and change hands with this. I need the chain of sale here. Because guess what? If I bought some jewelry off the street, and even if I paid for it, and that person stole that jewelry, the police going to tell me I don't own nothing. I got to show receipts, proofs. Jump right off. So that's what you won't do. So if you got that worked those 3 times, that's what you can do. Hit them in your local court. If you go too high now, if you go crazy, like, well, if that's the case, I'm going to sue them for $10,000. You're incentivizing them to show up now and fight. So the technique is to hit them low where it ain't worth their time. They send you that release. You get your check, you slide and glide and go on about your business and get it off your credit report. And now you got proof to send to the bureaus. Remove this. Okay, get it off. I would send a copy to the bureaus as soon as they send it to me, just so I ain't got to wait for them to update it and remove it. That's what you do. Okay, so that one's for free. That's what I did. Okay, and that's what I do. And I don't have no collections. Because when I do, cha-ching, I wish somebody would put a collection on me for real. I wish it would. Go to my Facebook. I show you my laptop, everything. I had a couple collections, got happy. What? That was a couple of years. What? You got the audacity. Honey, bye. I'm about to get you. And so I told you step by step. If you really want to, and that's for free. For real. That's for free. If you know your game, that's how you're going to do it. Yeah. Hit them up. That's what I did. Okay. And I ain't got no collection. Heck, it's been years. And let me tell you, I wish somebody would. Okay. I'm about to get my money. So I just broke that down to you. What can I do moving forward if I already made the mistake with the collection company? Unfortunately, you might have to just continue to pay that. That's what you're going to have to do. Because if not, you're going to trigger a lawsuit. If you already made, I don't want to say, you're going to get sued. You just trigger a lawsuit. Okay. So, you live and you learn. You can pay it off and then try to go and dispute it off if it update like a paid lawsuit. A paid collection. If you did try to settle, I wouldn't try to settle with these people. But if you did, you better get whatever response via email and writing. If you made a deal, if it was a pay for deletion, because they'll tell you that all the time. Oh, we'll remove it, and just sit up there and lie and let it sit there. And if you ain't got it in writing, they the one with the recording. You just stuck, my friend. So I'm just saying, ain't too much you can do, because I don't want to see you sued, and they can win at that point. So the only thing, if they do try to sue you, if you don't pay, if people are right now looking at a lawsuit because they didn't pay and now you're coming in the light, if they hit you with a suit, always go at the tactic of defamation. If somebody is suing you at any time, countersue for defamation. Okay? That's mine. I'm not an attorney. This don't count to legal advice. Okay? Sherry gonna sue you back. Don't you dare sue me. Well, hold on. You owe me $8,000. Well, you owe me 10. Okay? Because think about you being robbed. If you walking down a dark alley and somebody pulled a gun on you and say, give me all your money, you in a bad position, okay? Because they got the leverage. But if you pull your gun out and say, what's up, okay? Many a times they'll be like, I don't want no parts of that, and move on about that. Or we going to shoot each other and both of us going to get wounded, or you're going to get wounded, depending on how quick of the draw. The problem is with a lot of this in companies, I'm teaching you, I play chess strategy, and it's called leverage. So if you're suing me and you say I owe 8, and then I say you owe me 10, who got more to lose? If I put defamation of character, I don't care if I owe them or not. It had been people that I so-called owed. But guess what? If them numbers ain't all the way right, if you talk about interest, late fees, and if you don't went one dime over that, or if you went $100 over that, you done lied on me. You better be able to prove that all the way out, because that's your responsibility. And if it's on my credit report, you're lying on me. That's defamation of character. Now, if it ain't, that ain't correct. That ain't correct. I got denied for credit. If you being denied and it's on your credit report, all them times them letters came back that you denied, it's late things, and then here's my proof, here's my credit report. I don't care if I owe them. It's not accurate. It ain't accurate. You're lying on me. You're lying on me. And guess what? They know you got a point in the case. And you know what they gonna want to do? Everybody want to settle. Folks be wanting to settle, especially when you name names. Don't ever go against a business and not catch up somebody's personal name. So if this company's suing me, I don't care if I want to. I'm putting up some people in management. I'm getting real name. I don't care if you never spoke to me. I'm pulling up a name, and it's called leverage. And I'm getting the CEO. I'm getting the vice president. Y'all definitely about to get this work. And hit them back. Plus the company. Guess what? Folks going to negotiate real quick. Because it's not just a one-sided situation. See, with you not countersuing, and this is just Sherry principle all the time. When you ain't countersuing and they just coming after you, they got everything to gain and nothing to lose. And I don't play like that. You gonna lose something, okay? So don't come over here with all that, okay? When you learn that in life, learn how to fight. I know some people just bow down. I don't bow down, okay? I'm like the majestic elephant, okay? Everybody say lion is the king of the jungle. He might be that. But guess what? Every time you see that lion, you see that elephant and they babies going to the watering hole. Because you might jump on that elephant. You might win, but you're going to be limping when you get up out of there and might not be able to hunt again. Okay? I done fought with the best of them. If you smart, the IRS. Okay? And you learn the law, and you learn that you don't just owe folk, even them. They got laws and rules. They gotta prove they stuff out too. That's just not how life works. And one thing you gonna learn about corporations and business, nobody is on a board. They don't really all the way follow compliance, because compliance is expensive. So everybody got an Achilles heel. And so when you start pulling out names, saying you could get it, you could get it, you could get it, trust me, a lot of these people hide behind these corporations. And they got everything to gain and nothing to lose. But you want to put a little skin in the game, because I'm putting your name out there. And you better show up to this court. All right? The lawyer, everybody else, you want to pay some attorneys too. Let's throw them attorney fees. And what you want to do is make it expensive. So with collection companies, always know they only bought that debt for a certain amount. So if I'm running up the tab, you bought that debt low, you got to pay an attorney. It ain't really worth you chasing it. You're better off, because this is business. I'm teaching y'all all of this about business, because it's not personal to them. It's about money. It's about the bottom line. So if you bought a debt for $200, but being sued for $2,000, and then you got an attorney that they got to have an attorney represent them. They can't represent themselves. That's more money. That's more money. So then it's not even worth it to them. So that's what you got to make sure. It ain't even worth it. And if you want to come and mess with me, you want to get a fight. I ain't just backing down. And for me, I say everybody else take that same attitude, because everybody ain't going to fight. And guess what? They know there's easier prey. Okay? The lions don't chase the elephants when there's tons of gazelles out there. The scary running folks. Then the Chicken Littles, the sky is falling. Oh my God. Won't take the little time to do a little research to know how to hire the right people, how to do the right things. Because a lot of people just want to sit and be entertained. And this is why they stay broke. This is why they don't go nowhere. Because I had somebody jump up, oh, your video's too long. No, you're just too ignorant to sit here and listen. Because all you got to do is pay attention. Somebody giving you free game. And as my teacher used to tell me, Miss Beckley, it costs you nothing to pay attention. But you go out there and you get robbed by some collection companies. Credit repair companies. And you still stay in this cycle of brokenness, because you won't just take a minute to learn. That's all it is. So same thing with them. Learn game. Peep game. Corporation, there's somebody making some business decisions. That's why it's called a board. LLC, there's a managing member. Somebody gonna catch this work. Okay? Somebody gonna catch this work. And if you ducking and hiding, there's LinkedIn, there's the Better Business Bureau. You can grab up some names. Just Google the company. Go on LinkedIn and so. I work for so-and-so. Oh, gotcha. Get them. Gotcha. Getting you, and you. Okay? So always keep that in mind. That's always your angle. Patrice said, I went from 9 collections to 1, reporting on Equifax only. Oh, thank you so much for the testimony, Patrice. Thank you. And that's what you do. And what you do, Patrice, what you do is take your other credit reports and send it to Equifax and tell them they have wrong information, and you're verifying with that. Dispute that off, send it to that credit bureau and tell them that they have an error. Okay? So always remember, y'all, always fight. Don't let these people do that. Thank you, Rita. You said I got to get the platinum package. And I have to do that as well. Okay, Ann. Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Good to see you, Stephen, for chiming in. Access Granted Enterprises, I just purchased your platinum package. Thank you. Chris says, so if you have a small bill on all three agencies, if I pay one, does it remove all three? If it's one debt, and you pay it, it won't remove it unless you negotiate it, and you better get it in writing with collection companies, not like charge-offs. That's your original creditor. Like I said, if you talk to them over the phone, they record that phone call, and it's a bound agreement. Once they record you, if you don't pay them, they don't have to remove it. Now they have a legal right to leave it there or whatever. You better put everything in writing, okay? You better put everything in writing. So if you pay it, it will remain as a paid charge-off. A paid collection, unless it's a medical bill under $500 moving forward, July 1st, 2022. If you pay it with smaller medical bills, they should remove them off of your credit report. But I still await to see that, okay? Because this is the credit bureaus saying they're going to do that. Until I see that in effect, I ain't trusting nobody, okay? But you should always validate that debt. All right, I hope that answered your question. Mr. Collins said, but if I send a debt validation letter, they will know my new address. How do I avoid this? Is it on your credit report? Is it on your credit report? That's the question. Is it on your credit report? So if it's already on there, you're being taxed by that. And if you send it there, I guess if it's not reporting, did you get a letter in the mail? Some kind of way, or are they just calling you? If they're not if you ain't get a letter from them, I guess if they just calling you, leave it alone. If it's not on your credit report. But if you get a letter, you need to send a debt validation letter. If it's on your credit report, you need to send a debt validation letter. So I hope that's clear. Congratulations, Assets Granted LLC. So I'm so excited. I totally got rid of UCES. Congratulations. I got 2 collection agencies. For the same debt. I would dispute that directly with the credit bureaus, okay? If it's 2 different, same debt, that's double jeopardy. They double dipping. You can't have 2 companies. So that's incorrect information, and that's a violation. Chris said, how can I do that? I hope I answered that. Chris, come back with your question on what you need to know. Access Granted said, thank you for the information. True said, any advice for overpayment of unemployment debt? Does that even end up in collections? I'll be honest, I don't know. That's a different type of debt. That's a state debt. I would have to look into that, but that's a government-backed debt. If I was you, True, I would talk to an attorney in your state, because everything is different at state level. And I heard in California, they're just sending that out to people, and it's not. I seen I seen it actually on the news that people can't even contact them because they're so overwhelmed. So and people are just getting these deficiency notice from unemployment. I would speak to an attorney if I was you. So just see if you can find an attorney that will help you with that. Maybe one that deal with Social Security benefits. One of those attorneys that sue for that, or it's something like that. Maybe they'll have more information on how that work in your state, because they deal with government, rules and regulations for laws. Thank you for joining me, Joseph. And Chris said, it depends on the amount. to True. So maybe Chris can give you some information if he's located there. Sherry, hi Sherry in chat. Oh, thank you for joining us. Quentin said, this is amazing content. I'm going to implement this knowledge. I'm tired of spending money for credit repair. To just lie to me. Thank you so much. Yeah, they be like, they don't feel bad. They done got me so many times. Access granted said, help us today. I hope this helped you guys. And Chris says, so ambulance bill and x-rays. Follow Chris, the information I said about sending the debt validation letter. If you go to my website, in my package, I have a response letter particularly for medical debts. Okay, so it's first a normal debt validation letter. I don't tell them about the HIPAA law thing until the second letter, because I need them to send me a bill with my information on it, and then you hit them with that reply letter. Okay, so and some of the steps, I'm not an attorney that I just mentioned. I'm just telling y'all my own experience with the court and everything. Then I take it there. Okay, so that's the way I handle it. Quasa said, don't fall into the trap of collection calls. Means harassment. You are absolutely right. How can a charge off report your new address after 5 years? What do you mean? How can they report your new address after 5 years? Your address, a charge off, the address is on your credit report. They don't report a new address to charge off. The bureaus probably notified them of your new address. If anything, like if you apply for credit, got a new credit card, they update all those addresses. So you might want to remove, try to dispute that address. But if you got credit cards and things going there, they're reporting it to the credit bureaus who sell your information to that collection company. So I hope that helps you. Like I said, the bureaus is not your friends. You know, you are not their customer. You're their product. The banks and the collection companies are their customers. They sell your information to them. So, Truth fan said, I sent a letter starting, I don't know anything about the collection. I sent a copy of which bureaus had the debt and which did not point, and then point out the inconsistency. So, okay, so you're talking about you must have sent a debt validation. No, I mean, you sent a dispute to the credit bureaus. Okay, if it's reporting on your credit, I would send a debt validation letter directly to the company itself. Okay, but see how that dispute works out if you want to do that. And you said all collections was removed and shot out my score of 50 points. Well, congratulations to you. Somebody, True Fan, said that's what worked for her. How long did that take you to do that process? Let us know. And how many collections you had in total, because she might be giving some game that that can all help all of us in this credit world. So let me know the type of collections and how many you have, okay, and how long it took you to do that. If you can shoot me back that information. Celeste said, I'm coming into late. I don't know I will to ask, but can you successfully remove a bankruptcy off your credit report to bring up your credit score? The bankruptcy is pretty not, depending on how long ago was the bankruptcy, it's probably not what's bringing your credit score down. Many a times it's the charge off accounts that's bringing your score down connected to the bankruptcy. The bankruptcy is a public record, but those accounts that you charged off, especially if it's a Chapter 7, you'll see them there and they'll say connected to a bankruptcy. So if you're dealing with bankruptcy, trying to get it off, first you need to dispute the public record of the bankruptcy and then go after the accounts tied into it. Because once you can get the bankruptcy off, then you have a valid standing with the collections. I ain't had no bankruptcy, the charge-offs. I ain't had no bankruptcy, so this needs to be removed. So you first go after the public record part of the bankruptcy, and then all those connecting accounts after that's removed. So hopefully that'll help. I open up a new line of credit, Lowe's, a $2,000 limit. Made a same-day purchase of $1,500. My score went down 50 points. If I make the first payment, will it get it back up? Yeah, because if that's your only line of credit of $2,000, or if it's not, by putting on $1,500, put it like this: if that's your only line of credit, and you put down $1,500, and you use that card, you went over that 30% mark. And that's going to bring your score down, especially if you don't have any other open lines of credit that is not being maxed out or over that 30% of your overall utilization. Then say you do have open lines of credit and you're like, I don't know why this is bringing me down. I got a $25,000 credit card. When one card is riding over 70%, it'll still start bringing your score down. That's something new they did in algorithm. So like a couple years ago, I used to spit game and tell y'all, let's say you got a $10,000 credit card and that's your only credit card, and it's $5,000 reporting on that $10,000 credit line, and now you're riding that credit line by 50%. It's bringing your card down. You used to can add another line of credit, let's say an authorized user, a relative that ain't riding that, and it will increase your credit score. So say that other line of credit they got is $10,000 and you got a $10,000. So now you got a freed up $15,000, and it reduced how much debt to credit you have. They used to do that. So they would look at only the overall utilization. But now they done changed and tweaked some things. So any card you're writing over, even just one card over 70% or close to being maxed out, like maxed out, oh, it'll bring your whole score down until you pay that down. At least to under like 60% for that overall utilization to kick in. So I hope that's helpful. Now True saying that, oh, it's 5 times the amount. Now it happened before the reset. Yeah, definitely talk to an attorney, especially if the amount now for that unemployment collection is way beyond. So yeah, definitely talk to an attorney to make sure is those penalties that they're adding on even lawful for you. Tom said, hi Tom, how are you today? Thank you for joining me. I am wonderful. Tom said, can I ask a question? Let me read what your question is, Tom. If you can put it down in the description. Quasa said they never verify any information. The quote unquote, okay, debt collector representative asks you to direct questions. The prime example always calls my phone for debts and don't even know about it like that. Okay, so yeah, is it reporting on your credit report? If it's not reporting on your credit report, if you ain't seen nothing in the mail, they need to write you. But I wouldn't give them any information to verify that over the phone. You said it's extended car warranty, which I never heard of. Their favorite question is, can I please verify the information? Please don't verify any information to them if they're not sending anything to you in writing. Sometimes they be trying to tie down what's your address because I believe Mr. Collins was saying, like, how the new company got collection company from, no, the charge off company for 5 years ago got his new address. And as y'all can see on your credit report, they list addresses, and many a times they list a number of addresses. So a lot of these companies don't know which address is yours, okay, your current address. Another FYI, this a biggie. How you think collection companies, when they sue you or whatever, know where to garnish you at? Your job information is right there on your credit report. Okay, so a lot of people get overzealous and say, well, they got my old job up there. You better let that old job stay there. Okay, leave it alone. Leave it alone. And you don't look really worthy of credit always jumping from job to job anyway. The longer your job history, you look more stable. So that's just the setup. Okay, they not helping you like your old job or what. I mean, them folks just want to sell your information so these people can know where to garnish you. So they probably trying to fill out what address, especially Equifax be having your childhood home address. They be having multiple addresses, so a lot of them be trying to fill out which address is your address to send that correspondent to. So don't verify them for nothing. Thank you, Celeste, for joining me. And you said pray that all is well. Yes, everything. Yes and no, but yeah, it wasn't a major. Thank God, not like the last time. Braids by Sean said, how can to get medical bill off? And a voluntary car return. Collection with the medical bill, I broke that down. Like I said, with the medical collections, after July 1st of this year, if you pay it, it's under $500. They said they will be removing that off if it's under $500. The beginning of next year, 2023, medical debts should not be showing on your credit report. I suggest you go back and listen to this whole video where I broke some things down why you don't want to talk to them. While if you pay it, especially over that $500 mark, they don't remove it. It'll be an updated paid collection. It can bring your score down. Those are some of the highlights. It'll be updated negative item if it's over $500. And you should always validate the debt, because if it's a medical bill, your insurance company might have paid that. And these companies do steal people names and just throw collections on people. So when you pay it, you're agreeing to do business with them. And then now they got you. So you want to send a debt validation letter to them. Any medical debt, there's HIPAA laws involved. And if they have your information on a bill, they should not have your personal and private information, medical information, if you did not give that care provider or that healthcare provider permission to sell or to give out your information. Your job can't even call about your medical information. For a car, you just dispute it off of your, if it's a charge off. You're not telling me like what it looked like, but I'm going to assume it's a charge off for a car. Then you dispute it off as that charge off. You'll define anything that's inconsistent. Look at all three of your credit reports and find any inaccuracies, and you want to dispute it from that point. And when it comes to a car, whether it's voluntary or involuntary, a lot of people ask this question. When it doesn't matter if you give a car back or not. It really doesn't matter. You still will have a deficiency when that car is sold. So when it comes down to repos, I have a whole different package for that, because that's a rabbit hole I can't go into with all of that. That's a whole nother legal rabbit hole on some of the processes they need to follow, because once they sell that car at auction, they supposed to let you know certain things, give you an opportunity to get that car back even before they sell it. They supposed to let you know the location when they sell it. Supposed to send you this stuff certified mail. I do have a video about repossessions on my channel. Just go down there and listen to that, and how you can handle that as best. But you can always dispute anything that's inaccurate, even if it's true, but you find some inaccuracies about that, and you can just dispute it off on those terms. So hopefully that helps. Rita said all credit cards. Sean said, how long can the debt be a year account before it? No, it has, it don't, you don't have a time frame for you to dispute anything inaccurate on your credit report. Myra said, Myra said, hello. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. Okay. And True is talking to Chris. Throw their question right back at them and wrote their names and positions. They refuse that usually to sign. They were invalid. So who refused to sign? Did you send it? Usually it's a P.O. box, or there's a location that's there. So you can send it without a signature card, or there's some kind of location that they're going to get mail from. So find out if you're saying, if they refuse to sign. I don't know if you're talking about they refuse to sign for the certified letter. If they return that or refuse to sign, I would send that to dispute it now with the credit bureaus, because apparently their address that they're reporting on the credit bureaus is incorrect as their contact address. So remove that. Okay. Lee said, what if they chose not to validate your debt and want to be nasty? Eviction. What I have done is what I broke down, the lawsuit route. Same terms, small claims court. That's what I have done. So go back to listen to that. Naming names in my state, and that's it. I would not. A lot of people do extra too with an eviction. If it's a company that they sold it to and not your building who is reporting that, like the actual building you reported from or the landlord, don't sit up there. Like a lot of people do too much. Like I'm going to call them for the lease and that. No, you ain't got to do that. With collections, you don't know them. You ain't got to do nothing extra. If they're reporting it on your credit report and they not validating it and they not explaining themselves, that's what the court for. You're lying on me. And if you're not producing this and you're showing records that you're keeping this, that this and that you have reached out to them, they don't want to resolve it. That is what the court system is for. And you have your local court, and they have to abide by your local court rules and in your jurisdiction. So you go to your local court, and there's relief with the judicial process. Okay, and that's what the judicial process is for. Mind Trouble said, hello from France. Oh, wonderful. Thank you for joining me from France. Thank you. And Mr. Collins and Sherry, do you understand this is gold? Oh, thank you, Mr. Collins. I appreciate it. And Quasa said, make it personal. It's absolutely right. And yeah, and you said they will try to transfer you every time. Yep, it happens. And it's true. And a lot of times with me, I found with the lawsuit process, because a lot of these debts, when you get, they'll keep trying to sell this debt. But I have found when I did the lawsuit part, it takes that out of circulation because these companies is just trying to get a buck. Okay. They trying to get a buck. So they might jump off and try to give it to somebody else that can get that same work, but once the lawsuit part happened, a lot of them just going back down and that's it. Can anything be done in regards to family court debt collections? I do not know, Johnny, about family court. And if it's child support or something, you need to talk to probably a custody. Because somewhere, if it's family court, it's going to be either probably custody or divorce. You would probably have to talk to one of those attorneys because that is governed by your state. Especially even child support, you can try to dispute that off directly if that's what you're talking about, family court. But if it's some kind of other fee, I will talk to an attorney to see how that state actually handles that. So child support you might be referring to, but if you can be a little more clear, I might can help. Can you get rid of a student loan that's 12 years old? No, I had made a note of that raised by Sean. Make sure you go to the beginning. I mentioned student loans is a totally different debt and you cannot even bankrupt that off. It is secured by your government and you got to pay that. Okay. The quicker, the better. So those collections are totally different and you ain't going to never shake that. So unless you get debt, if they do debt forgiveness, if you qualify for that, but if you got student loan debt, you need to rehabilitate that debt. But it falls under a whole different category of collection. Unfortunately, the government makes sure they get their money. And you said I had ABC company person tell me, okay, almost 7 years ago that I would never own a home / mortgage this company. Yes, they are terrible. If you talk about the ones that I'm talking about that I had to deal with. They and another one out of Virginia is the worst. This other one go by two names, the Alphabet company starting with an L. They got another company too, and they both one and the same. They own both of them, and they around South Carolina, them Carolinas, them. If y'all ever ran across them, but I did a settlement a couple of years ago, so I gotta watch what I say. Them folks, they a mess. And the one in Virginia, I think they Norfolk or Chesapeake. Y'all know them. It start with a P. They a mess too. Okay, they a mess too. They a trip too. They a trip also. So you might have to do the steps I'm talking about because they are some trips. The one is either in Norfolk, Virginia or Chesapeake, Virginia. Okay, and they start with a P. Okay, P-O. Okay, y'all watch what y'all say on the phone. Man, I ain't got no deals with them. Portfolio recovery, watch them, okay? They'll lie from the pit of hell, okay? They'll try to catch you with a debt, and they get the oldest debts. I ain't never had no settlement with them, so whatever. I was about to sue them, but them, watch they butts, cause you better watch what you say to them, cause they'll lie, okay? They'll say, oh, we talked to you. It was some bill from Lowe's I had. They drudged up from 2009. Something crazy. And the man gonna tell me, the supervisor, that, oh, you had talk. I ain't never talked to y'all. I knew about this ages ago. I ain't new to this. I'm true to this. I learned that back in 2004. I ain't never say nothing to y'all over the phone. What you about to do, it ain't never hit my credit report because it was way past the statute of limitations. But they will try it, okay? Don't think them demons will try it. Don't do it. Okay. We can never get rid of student loan debt unless it's forgiven or work for it. Yep, public sector. Yes, Stephen. Yep. Yep, and you can't bankrupt it off. I'm sorry to hear about your situation. Maybe some oh well, I will tell you somebody. Now I ain't gonna say I know this all the way out. I ain't gonna say. I'm gonna tell you what somebody told me, what you can look into. Um that forgiveness also for nonprofits. So it can be a possible way where you can set up a nonprofit. And there's a short form for nonprofits too. You don't have to do the long form, which is $850 just to apply for a nonprofit. There is a short form where you can do a nonprofit. And if you set yourself up for working with that nonprofit, and you don't have to be full time working with that nonprofit, because any corporation, a lot of people say, I own my own LLC. You don't own nothing. You don't want to even say you own nothing. You never own a business. You work for a business. This is how you get protected from limited liability, because you don't own it. So you work for them. So if you start a nonprofit using the short form, it's like $250. You can fill it out yourself, and you're doing some charity work. You can qualify. I think for every year, if you work for it for a certain amount of years, you can get forgiveness, student loan forgiveness. I had somebody who was in a nonprofit give me that information. So you'll have to follow it out. I can't say I know it step by step, but that was the bone that they gave me, and that's what they did for themselves to start getting the student loan forgiveness. So you can form a nonprofit, and you can do it fairly cheap, but you'll have to go, you have to incorporate with your state level, and then go for the nonprofit status, the section 5013C. I'm be messing it up. Anybody that know it all the way, the tax-free status, you can get that quickly. I did have a nonprofit, but you can do that, and you can do the short form. I did do that, so it was only like $250, and the short form is very small, but you can be doing that. You'll have to do the long form if you're doing a church, like organization or something like that. To ordain people, you have to do long form, but you can do the short form. But you can't be taking revenue or donations, if I'm not mistaken, more than $50,000 in that year for the first 3 years. So hopefully that's helpful. Yes, I'm working online with your platinum package. Oh, finally able to get some help and education. Love your channel. Thank you. Access granted. I really appreciate it. Johnny said, I bought your platinum package. Can anything be done? Family court. Well, if you can come back, Johnny, what kind of family court collections? Please let me know which type. Okay, he's responding to it. James said, repent and believe the gospel. Yes, sir. I'm looking forward to getting your platinum package. Would you ever start offering credit card consultations? I will never say never. But with my newborn, it's gonna probably be tough unless I make some arrangements, maybe in a next couple of months. It could be possible. I won't say I wouldn't, but the prices that I did before, like $120, unfortunately it's just so many people, I would not be able to do it for that price. And because what I would have to charge people for that, I might have to do something with a group, or like I was doing the seminar before, to make the price affordable for multiple people, but or do some group, like a group type of to make sure everybody have access. But I'm working and brainstorming on how I can set that up. Okay. So I am brainstorming. Me and my daughter is brainstorming on that. I have a collection that's reporting in my name incorrectly. I have disputed it several times, no results. The collector won't even speak to me because the last name does not match. I just gave the advice, death validation letter, and like I said, what I mentioned I did, this is not legal advice, but I did a defamation of character lawsuit with my local court. And so I went into painstaking details earlier. So just rewind this and catch that information. That's what you would do in that situation. She won't. Okay. Oh, somebody asked for personal phone calls. She will help you. Yeah, you can email me, Health, if you have questions. This is why I'm doing this format, to try to deal with your questions. But if you have private questions, always just email me, and it go to my cell phone directly. This is great. Thank you. Definitely going to your website. Oh, well, thank you for joining me. And whatever y'all can help, please definitely always tune in. This is a good format. If not, I got tons of videos for whatever problem that you have. Tiffany said, thank you, Sherry, for all the knowledge. I've implemented your knowledge and bought your packages, and my credit improved by 80 points and running. Thank you so much for the testimonial, Tiffany. All of y'all for the testimonial. I really appreciate it. So I really do appreciate it. It is very helpful to know that the information is working. Robert Stevens Jr. says, so the credit bureau sells your information. Yes, Robert. If you did not know, the credit bureaus, number one, it is not federal. They hide saying bureaus. They're nothing but private corporations that collect data. Okay, that is it. They collect your data and they sell your data and they make millions. So, no, not millions, my bad, billions. All of them make billions in annual annual revenue a year. And so with that, I'll talk about it maybe another night. You gotta make sure you tell your own story. Don't always give too much information, because especially if you go back, check my video on where I talked about Experian Boost. You got to watch self-reporting. They just want more data to bring your credit score down. They sell your information to other people. So one thing, like somebody mentioned, they just bought a home. When you start getting those shopping for a mortgage, you'll be surprised how many collections come out the woodwork. Boop, 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 boop. And you're like, where does this come from? They sell that data. When they see that hard inquiry for a home loan, they have a trigger list where they know this is the golden opportunity to sell your information to collection companies. They put it out, and this is how they pop up, because they know you can't get that home with that collection. And now it's a great time to get paid, and you won't have little resistance. Also, you notice you start working on your credit score low, ain't nobody looking for you. Soon as it starts to improve and go up, new collection pop out the blue. Now you're like, where does this come from? That's purpose. They do that. They sell your information. They sell your data. This is why disputing online, you shouldn't do it. Like Credit Karma, Experian, you always send your disputes by mail, certified mail. They get paid by that company for you disputing online. They get paid like a couple of dollars, everybody that submit that dispute. And when you dispute online, it robs you of certain rights, because you're agreeing by whatever outcome that they're producing. You're agreeing to their terms and service. So they're making billions. That's all they do. They ain't nothing but collecting data and selling data. Data is very lucrative, because like I told y'all, banks need you more than you need them. Their only business is making money off of interest. That's their business. They make very little money off annual fees. It's interest. They make most of their money. So they want to justify by why you never see the credit bureaus ever go swing the opposite way, where somebody got a wrong credit score that was way better than what they should have. It don't happen. Like 70% or it's 83% of credit reports are inaccurate, and that's on purpose. Bad credit is very lucrative. There's companies looking for bad credit scores because they can lend you, like with the Credit One Bank, $300 and charge you $29 worth of interest. The more interest, and they got less risk because they can justify giving you these lines. Good credit, they can't make as much money. You're not a high risk, and you can get better interest rates, and they got competition. So as Chris Brown said, they ain't nothing but vultures. Always hoping for the worst, waiting for you to mess up. Oh, that's why. That's why they waiting for you to mess up. That's why they so willing to report negative information, because banks and them pay more for bad credit scores. Let me say it again. They pay actual more for subprime credit profiles. So that's why they make more money. That's why they so resistant from taking things off of your credit report. And you said I constantly get calls from portfolio recovery debt for 5 years. Yeah, you got to watch portfolio. Well, thank you for joining me, Robert. I hope you learn something. Jewel every day. You know how I go around here. Everybody want the money. Mr. Collinson, thanks. It helps. I'm curious that the collection, because I'm from Houston. Now I live in Los Angeles, so I'm not sure how they knew I live. Oh, and okay. Yeah, it's on your credit report, and they selling all of that. So I thought it was these other companies. No, that's them. They the ones they sell your data. That's all they do. Look them up. That's all they do. They're data sellers, and a lot of times now, y'all wonder why a lot of these companies don't like to do pay for deletion? Because the credit bureaus, in order for them to have access to that reporting, banks, collection companies, and all of that, and have the leverage to slap negative things on you, they are required a subscription, and they have to report a certain amount of names every month to have like 5,000 names. They have to report monthly, and this is the fuel the beast. That's why they don't want to. You see, sometimes they're very resistant. Well, we can't remove it. Yeah, because they have to report a certain amount of names, and that's the deal with the devil they made, and they are devil themselves. It's all part of the system. And Celeste said it's only been 3 years since my bankruptcy, so it must be the utilization. It's around, well, you can add another line of credit to Celeste, and it'll help. Like if you watch my how to increase your credit score with bankruptcy, it's the same principle. You can add unsecured lines of credit and get your score to go up on average 50 points. But you add an unsecured line of credit card, and let it report, and then go to the next one. And you can get all the way to a 700 credit score. Monique said, hi, Sherry. My score was 550, shot up to 620 when I added 3 lines of credit. Okay, congratulations. Our 2 5-year charge-offs hurting me as much. Should I wait till it fall off? You can dispute it off. You can dispute it off. I will start there if they're smaller ones and it's still with the original company. You could even try to settle it. Always get everything in writing. Watch what you say over the phone. And first, before you try to settle anything, always look at your laws, your statutory statute of limitations before paying anything to anybody. to see if it can reactivate them being able to sue you, because it could be over the period time of statutory limitations for them to sue you. I always say, if I'm talking to somebody let's say a charge off with, I don't know if I owe this debt. I believe I paid it, but I got to review my records. But what do you have? And is it possible we can make some arrangements for me to settle this? But to my knowledge, I paid this. That's what I say over the phone. To my knowledge, you never copped to anything. Access granted says self credit card was paid off, but late fees was not paid. They charged me a late fee every month. They said it was due until just 1 month ago after I closed it. And charged it. They charged it off. I will see if you can settle it. If you can call them and see if you can settle it. But like I said, I would use the same script I just gave you over the phone with that. Yeah, that's why I pre-charge against certain things, adding debt to your credit report, because it just don't help. You better off by getting unsecured lines of credit, for real. All right, everybody, if y'all don't have any more questions, I'm just gonna scoot through, because my baby, she thinks she's always get to that level, and I'm about to log off. I'm just gonna answer a few more questions. I just did a debt validation letter, sent back a credit card statement letter stating that the bank sold the account. Which letter can I buy from you? I just have a package. So I have a platinum package, and it have all letters included. And a letter to respond to that is in that package. So that would be your best one. And Access Granted said get the platinum package she has on her website. Thank you for answering. And Neo Maxim said, Sherry, thank you for sharing the knowledge. What should I expect when defaulting on an unsecured debt? Can they come after your house in court? It depends on the time frame and how much is the debt. It depends on the time frame, unsecured debts, and how long ago it was. So I'll look at my statute of limitations. If it was recently, if it's still with that company, I would try. If it's a large amount, or to see if you can settle it if it's still with that company. And see if they will, if you settle it, that they'll remove it or update it as paid as agreed. That's the highest form. So, because sometimes you can't burn everybody in life, especially if it's an American Express, Navy Fed, Chase. You got to have some place to go, so sometimes it's better to build bridges than burn them, or repair bridges. So I hope that might give you an answer. But yeah, they can pursue you in court. It can come to a collection if it's a larger debt. But as I said earlier, you can always fight anything. Rewind this, and I went in debt on countersuing if you are sued, and how to go back about that process. Okay. So I hope that was good, everyone. If you got questions, make sure you check out the beginning of this video. I broke everything down in detail, and I went over everything that should cover your questions about collections and the whole. I have tons of other videos about this in detail. Some of the updated stuff I said with this, dealing with credit collections. Make sure you check this out. So I thank all of you guys for joining me. Hopefully y'all will be safe. God bless, and I'll see you guys next week. All right, be safe. Bye-bye.